Craig.
It's all on you, it's all on me. Can't you see? It's all on you, it's all on me. You and me, can't you? It's all on you, it's all on me.
Hey, Craig. Right or wrong, we don't care. Win or lose, we don't care. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care.
I don't know why.
It's
a challenge. It's a challenge every week or every time we record. It's not really weekly most of the time now, but it's a challenge every time to try and do something just at least a little different. And that, I don't know. That's what came out. So
it's called a vocal fry, and you're a genius.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
That's me.
Amazingly, also, this is episode 208. 208. I'm sober. Podcast versus everyone. I am Craig Powers.
Yes, you are.
Sitting in my Oceanside, California hotel room. And with me, as usual, is Jeff Nusser, who I think is in his Graham Washington basement.
Yeah, I'm definitely not sitting by the ocean. And by the way, I mean, people should know you're not joking about that. You are in San Diego, right? San Diego.
Yep. I have to speak at a conference tomorrow. It's going to be great.
I doubt that you're going to use the same language at the conference that you're about to use for the next hour.
No. I will not mention generative AI not a single one time in this podcast.
Yeah.
Well, except for that one time. But that will be the last time.
But that'll be the last time we say the phrase generative AI. Except for that time.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, my fucking. All right. Okay.
We good?
And my computer went to sleep, but I saved it in time.
Good job. We rescued it. People don't know that this happens most episodes. Craig's computer goes to sleep. We lose our connection. We have to stop.
I have my computer set to never go to sleep, but somehow it goes to sleep after
always
30
goes
seconds.
to sleep.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. But we saved it that time. So good job, Craig. I'm trying to think of a segue there. We saved it just in time, like
the way Miles
like an Isaac Jones
to
dunk
Isaac Jones and
at the end of regulation.
Saved the apple cup of the hardwood just in time. And how Severe fell down severely to send it to overtime. What a drive that was.
Yeah.
It's impressive all around.
So you were in attendance.
I was.
I
was
imagine
in the very last row.
Yeah,
right next,
I saw the pictures.
Right next to one of Isaac Jones's brothers.
Nice.
That's I believe he has 3 of them. Or 3 siblings at least. And that was fun. It was really fun to watch the game with him. Especially second half. Isaac had a really nice game.
Yeah.
Made some really big plays. I mean, in his opinion, Isaac could have gotten the ball more.
Is there ever a family member who doesn't think that their family member could have gotten the ball more? I think that's pretty.
As I'm sitting right next to my sister.
I was going to say, as you're sitting next to your sister, I'm sure.
And be like, give it to my fucking sister.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure you probably had that thought more than once. Like, why aren't they feeding the post? What's wrong with these people?
I will say my sister, fellow Wenatchee Valley College basketball player, with Isaac. And we made sure to mention that to his brother, and then we met, and then Stephanie got a picture with Isaac as well. We were like, hey, fellow Wenatchee Valley College basketball player. He's like, oh, cool. And so he took a picture of that.
That's awesome. Yeah, it looked
as
like
we just invaded courtside afterwards.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's what it looked like after the game. Like, lots of people hanging around, lots of people celebrating. You know, Kyle Smith I see him giving high fives. I see players taking pictures with fans. Like, It's the vibes are good, man. The vibes are real
I'll
good.
say
right
we like to make fun of Ted Robinson because he often, especially in football, kind of mostly focuses on the California schools, and then when someone else plays those schools, like is not wholly prepared to talk about them. But he did a good job, like especially at the end of the game. He talked about, look, we're not living in a cave. Like we can see the extra emotion around this game because of what's going on with the conference, and yeah, it was like there was conservatively 2,000, probably 3,000 Cougs there, and
which in an
loud.
arena that seats, I think
10,000,
right?
Yeah,
like 20 to 30% of the place being visitors is actually probably feels like even more than that.
And typically the visiting are louder, and especially when it's Cougs versus Huskies, and especially when our team is the one that is pushing for an NCAA tournament, and they're just trying to spoil it. Like we're obviously very passionate. So you're having 2,000 to 3,000 extremely passionate fans there, and we were loud as fuck. Like there are literally, like, I've watched the game on DVR. I've watched the highlights. We were chanting defense in the last few minutes while they were on defense, and you can hear it on the broadcast. And most of us were in the upper level, so it's not like we were mic'd. It's not like they were micing us up in the upper level. Yeah. Like you could just hear us screaming defense as loud as possible. While the UW fans needed Will Conroy to jump out on the court and hype them up, the students who are right behind the fucking bench to like be make noise.
Yeah,
but I will say the UW fans, like, by the end were very into it, and that made for just an incredible college basketball atmosphere. Like it reminds me of in 2006, 2007 season, 2006. In December 2006, when WSU hosted Gonzaga, and it was just huge deal because it was a sellout, and so the student section was completely full, but there was legit like 3,000 Gonzaga fans there. Like we were talking shit to Gonzaga fans before the game. Like it was a very hostile atmosphere because of all the Gonzaga fans there, and it reminded me a lot of that, and I still like hold that up as like the best atmosphere I've ever been in, that game. And this was very close to that, and it was so cool, and like how the Cougs were just we were just so passionate and screaming and yelling and then getting texts from friends who were watching on TV, like, holy crap, you guys are so loud, we can hear you, and hearing from the players who were like, that was like a home game. I saw Jalen Wells posted on you guys are so loud, and then Miles has said this was like a home game, and that's so awesome. Obviously, a lot of us live on the West Side, and it's cool when the Wazoo basketball team is having such a, and it's like that in the women's too. I mean, I think honestly, the women's game we went to earlier, Jeff, it might have been half and half.
Yeah, I was gonna say that game might have been 50-50, maybe 60-40, but it was it was pretty close. It was pretty close.
It's cool that Coug fans that live those we're playing UW come out, and when there's actual legitimate like stakes, the passion and just the quality of that game, like we had some close games with UW under Bennett, and we had a double overtime on the big senior night with all of Bennett's big seniors, but that that was double overtime. I think it was in the 70s. But this game, there was it wasn't that there was just like not that much defense play, which is fair, but it was just like good players making plays. Like it was just good, it like just guys making shots, and that makes the game so exciting. Like Keon Brooks, that motherfucker, dude.
Jeez.
Like the shots he made just over and over again, just like these contested mid-range fucking shots, like over and over and over again. He didn't make a three, and he scored 35 points. Like
I know, it was crazy.
It was nuts. Like he was having a very like NBA player night. You're like, this fucker is an NBA player. Like Jesus, like we're throwing every player we got on him, it was to the point where like at the end of the game, like I was saying to you, and I was like fully serious. I'm like, put Ruben on him. Let's just see what happens. Like, because like nothing else is working. Like, just gotta try it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, what what else was there to do? I don't know what else there was to do. I mean, we played man to man, we played zone. It just did not matter, you know. And you know, I will say that he has turned into, you know, a pretty fair monster at this point. It's not just us. Like
his usage was 42% in that game.
Yeah. And I think one good measure to try and like help people understand like just how good he's been. So Ken Pom has a Ken Pom Player of the Year metric that he also like applies to conferences. And so if you go to the conference page for any given conference, he'll give you his top 5 all Ken Pom players. And so it's like this algorithm, and it's not just like straight efficiency or straight contribution. You also have to play on a good team usually in order to sort of rise to the top. And if your team is not that great, you have to be really, really, really good to get on that list. So right now, the number one guy, all Ken Pom Pac-12, is KJ Simpson, and we have seen quite clearly how good he is. But also Colorado's ranked, 28th in Ken Pom, so really highly ranked team. Number 2 player is Caleb Love. Again, we got to see how good he was. Again, that's the number 6 team, Arizona number 6 team in Ken Pom, and then 3rd is Brooks, and Washington is the 61st ranked team. So it like that just kind of goes to show. I know maybe for listeners who don't follow Ken Pom that closely or don't look at that stuff as often as we do, you're just gonna have to trust us that this is like really unusual.
You got to be really good.
You got to be like otherworldly to get on that list if your team is not like a top 30 or 30-ish team.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So
that was great. Like moment, like for a few. Well, I think we mentioned on the pod, like for a few weeks, or maybe it was just 1 week. Like Isaac was on there, and that was impressive because we were like in the 50s when he was on there. Which is and honestly, it's kind of weird. Like Carlson must just be having a fucking like good stretch because like he passed him, but and
not to turn this into a Brooks pod because I definitely don't want to, but he was terrible last year. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
he transferred from Kentucky, came with much fanfare. He was like pretty good at Kentucky as like a mid-usage type player, and then he became a high volume go-to guy last year and was awful. Like he was terrible. And this year he is very, 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 very good. So, good on him. And
he's just making
shots. And so it's awesome.
He's turning really the ball over less, and he's making
it just
shots.
Didn't matter where he caught the ball. It didn't matter, man. He is a matchup nightmare for just about anybody. He's 6'7", he's long, he's strong. We just didn't have anybody big enough, long enough, or quick enough, or the right combination of those three, to stick with him. But it ended up working out great.
Unfortunately for him on the defensive end, he usually had to play the 4. Which meant he had to guard some guy 3 inches taller than him and about 50 pounds heavier.
Yep.
Because WSU also had an incredibly good offensive night.
Yes.
UW, it was largely Keon Brooks, and then Severe Willer in the second half. He was pretty awful in the first half. Also, I got to point out there was I'm trying to do it off of memory. There was 15 total turnovers in this game, and Severe Wheeler had 6 of them.
Yes.
Yep, that was true. I'm just going to confirm it on the bottom.
And
there it is. Yeah.
And his sort of crazy out of control drive at the end of regulation was not a turnover. So that could very easily be counted as a turnover as well.
They just like if you look at they didn't even record as a shot. Like I don't even know. Like there's like they recorded as time expired.
Yeah, I just think it was nothing.
It was just nothing. I mean, which is fair, honestly.
Yeah, I think that was.
It wasn't really a turnover. It's not like we got the ball,
No, but we are still, as we have been, we are still playing that shot volume game. We're not dominating on the offensive glass the way that we the way that we kind of did last year, but still very good.
We did in this game.
Conference play. In this game, we did. And in conference play, we're fourth in the conference in offensive rebounding percentage, fourth in offensive turnover percentage. That's a really, really good place to be. And have you looked at how high we've gotten now in conference offensive efficiency in conference play?
Yeah, I looked the other day. It was third, right?
We are third. We are third. Like, that is, I mean, we know, like, you and I have gotten exasperated.
Let me take a trip back just as you talk. You talk and I'll look back.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, you and I have gotten exasperated at times about the complaints with Kyle Smith's offenses, right? And people complaining, all they do is jack threes and it's ugly, it's painful, it's slow, it's, whatever. It's all these things. And I know, like, for our part, and especially for my part, I was like, look, man, like, the results are good relative to what we've been. He's a really good coach. The offenses aren't.
We were sixth the last 2 years. Kyle Smith's best years in Pac-12 play, we were sixth in offensive efficiency.
Yeah. So middling offensive efficiency. And then also, like, if we're being honest, like, the offensive efficiency is middling, and also it wasn't always the prettiest basketball, right? Like, we would joke about, here comes the patented, scoring drought or whatever. This fucking team is really, really good. Like, really good. And I mean, of all the things that we thought would happen this year with the team, I know that I did not have explosive, dominant offense on my bingo card. Like, that was not a thing that I thought was sort of like, yes, Kyle Smith's going to post his best offense at WSU this year with losing TJ Bamba, Mo Gay, and Justin Powell. I mean, obviously we lost DJ as well, but we're talking like, those are three really good offensive players.
Yeah.
And we lost all three of them. DJ was a good fourth offensive player. And here we are. And it's like, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of insane. And not only that, but it's like, I think we saw on Saturday, like, it's attractive basketball too. Like, the ball moves. They're really starting to figure out their flow. Miles is getting more comfortable.
Multiple guys that can create.
Yeah, he's getting more comfortable as the primary ball handler. He's getting more comfortable running pick and roll. Like, it really is starting to click, and it is fun as hell to watch.
Well, and that's what we were talking about. That they were talking about a lot on the broadcast how Miles didn't score in the second half until the overtime. But they also mentioned he had 5 assists. Like, Miles was running the offense still. It's just UW was terrified of him, and he was finding open guys. Like, the last play of regulation is a perfect example of that. Like, they
blitzed him so hard.
Three guys ran at him, and they forgot about, like, probably the best player on our team just standing right under the basket. And Miles saw it all the way. Like, he saw it all the way. He made that beautiful pass. It's one thing there's always open guys on late game plays like that, but often the primary ball handler will just throw up a shot.
But that may have been their plan.
The wherewithal,
that might have been their plan. To send 2 guys. Hey, Rice wants to be the hero. He's going to take the shot. Just blitz him with 2 guys. It did not work,
dude. The mood to go from like to Moses Wood, 87% free throw shooter. You're just like, oh, he's going to hit it. We're going to be down 3. They're going to foul us. It's going to be this whole extended bullshit thing. We're going to lose eventually. And to he missing the second one.
Yeah.
And then thank fucking the basketball gods we didn't have a timeout. Because, like, that does not happen if we have a timeout. And we have talked before about this team out of timeouts. It's just not a pretty thing typically, especially with Shaw not there. And so, but just to not have a timeout and just to kind of do a scramble drill down the floor with 11 seconds left when the shot is the free throw is missed, and it worked out perfectly. And man, we lost our shit. Like, and okay, let's go back to the point. Okay, I will go back to the point before whatever. Well, we lost our shit. I was screaming at the UW. There was overflow UW students that were right next to us up in the upper level, which shout out to them. They had overflow. That's cool. But their student section is so incredibly small, and their university is so incredibly big.
For the
so I'm really
size
not
of
that
their
impressed.
university.
There's like 500. The dog pack is like 500
seats.
people. Like there's no way it's more than 500. Like I don't even think it's that much. So, but whereas the WSU student section is like 5,000 or something. But yeah, like to have Miles. So how this offense is just like came around in the California game. It's a blip in the radar of how they've played in the last month. They've just played like an elite fucking team for a month, except for that one game, and except no one would care about it if they would have just held a 7-point lead or whatever. And it probably would have looked a lot better, whatever. But they didn't. So, but that happens. And then we've talked about, maybe they don't come back and beat the shit out of Utah and Colorado if they beat Cal. Maybe they needed that kick in the ass or whatever. But this team has won 6 of 7. And you're talking about these have not been easy games. Like, you're a top 100 team on the road, a top 10 team at home, a top 100 team on the road. A almost top 100 team on the road that they lost to, a top 40 team at home, a top 30 team at home, a top 60 team on the road. Like this is just like they're not playing shitty teams; they're just playing really well. They're getting big wins, and it's been Miles. Offensively, it's been Miles has figured it out more how to play this elite, higher level of teams. Isaac has really dialed in. Like, he's been so much more consistent. He's not getting shut down. He's finding ways. If he's not getting a ton of shots, he's just making a lot of shots. I mean, he got a lot of shots against UW, but he also made a lot of shots. He was like 10 to 15 or whatever, but he had 20 points. But then Jalen fucking Wells, man. Like, Jalen
I was
Wells.
about to mention Jalen Wells.
Like, Miles and Isaac getting a little bit better has been good, but Jalen Wells becoming a fucking dude off the dribble has been massive. And they made a big deal about him going to the Donald Watts academy and working on his mid-range. And then he just delivers. Like, he didn't make a 3 in the whole game, but he still was like incredibly good.
Yeah, he still scored 19 points on 14 shots, and that was with going 0 of 3 from beyond the arc.
If we'd been talking about him a month ago, we'd be like, he's got to make his threes to be valuable.
Yeah, he was a catch and shoot guy at first.
Now he's going off the dribble. He's posting up. He's making 17-foot contested shots. Like, God,
he's got a whole damn bag. He's got a whole damn bag when it comes to scoring. Like, that's how he scored, 25 points a game or whatever it was at Division II. Like, he's got all the tricks, man. He's got step throughs. He's got Euro steps. He's got step backs. Throughs. He's got, like, the step throughs are killing people. It's he is turning people in knots. I mean, here's what he's doing in conference play. Okay, so here are his last.
A guy who last played at Division II. By the way,
yes.
Before you say
so during this run, and he started the year injured, right? So he didn't get the soft landing. He didn't even play in the first game. He played 6 minutes combined in the next 2, right? And then so here's what he's done on this run that that started with Oregon State, right? So after the first weekend out in the mountain schools, which were just thrown in the trash, here's what he's done going backwards. Okay, so starting with Washington, going backwards. 19 points, 17 points, 13 points, 15 points, 13, 11, 17, 15, and 11. He has scored 11 or more
many double digits
in every single game, and he's doing it while playing. I mean, right now he's playing 35 minutes or more in just about every game. He only played 33 against Washington because of personal fouls, but he's playing major minutes. He is scoring incredibly efficiently. His offensive rating in conference play is 124, which I know listeners, you may not sort of have context for that, a little over 100 is probably average. Essentially it's 1.24 points per possession ish.
And the big thing, like
that's incredible.
Sorry, talk over you. But
yeah.
So yeah,
no,
it's
go.
incredible. And then what's more incredible is that like you usually see guys with those ratings that have a little bit less possession and are catch and shoot mostly.
Yeah.
Which we thought he was, but he in conference play, he's making shots off the dribble, he's post ups, like difficult shots a lot. He's a knockdown free throw shooter.
Well, like,
he's made 32 of 36
yeah. He's taken 43 threes in conference play and taken 62s and shot 36 free throws. Like that's a balance.
That's a scorer.
That's a scorer. Like we have not typically had guys like that, particularly not at his size. Right. So, I mean, we've had a lot of the guys we've had have been good at like one thing, but not others. Like I think back to, Justin Powell. I think back to, Isaac Bonton or something. I mean, I know they play different positions, but it's like, we've had guys, even if you look at comparable guys at his position right now, you look at Andrei Akimovsky, right? I mean, yes, he'll shoot some twos, but it's very opportunistic. He's not generally kind of forcing the action and he's more of a 3-point shooter, right? I mean, you just kind of look down the list of guys that we've had come through. DJ Rodman, same deal. Decent good 3-point shooter. Could make teams pay if they close out too hard, right? We have not had a guy who can create his own shot the way he does at his size. And then we've also got another guy who can create his own shot at 6'9", as a post player. And then we've got another guy at 6'3" who can create his own shot from the perimeter. I mean, I think that says a lot about why this offense is so good. Like we can attack all parts of the floor in so many different ways.
I mean, Bill Walton mentioned it. Who Bill Walton, he's fun, but like sometimes you're just like, he's just saying whatever. But he mentioned it, like they have two, and he was referring to Miles and Isaac. They have like two guys who can just do it themselves. Like they can carry a game. And we've talked about it before. We talked about it last week. They're bucket getters. And you can now add Jalen to that. Like, WSU was down 3 and Jalen made a step through move to score to make it 1 and then made a fucking 17-footer at the shot clock to give him the lead. And like he's a bucket getter. And this is why WSU is now middle of the road in luck on Ken Pom instead of, they're even positive a little bit. Like, on Ken Pom versus we've always talked about like them being almost last, like because they have guys that make plays at the end of close games. So WSU wins those close, like the Cal game accepted, of course, but everything like they've just made plays. And the Colorado. So we could say like that's the narrative is that they figured it out.
Yep.
Like Colorado was, even Kyle mentioned it, like the Colorado game, they just fell apart at the end. That feels like a fucking lifetime ago.
Yep.
Like if you think about like how hyped we were when they beat USC, because they were 1-3 in conference. Their only win was over lowly Oregon State. We had that really shitty game against Oregon where there was no defense played. And then they go and they beat USC. And we were so hyped because like you and I in our minds were like USC, Arizona, we're 1-5. We're starting conference play 1-5. This season sucks. And they go out and they beat USC. They beat Arizona. They beat Stanford. They're 4-3. The Cal game was depressing. We fucking recorded the pod right after, whatever. But what we said 100 times in that pod is that we had 3 potential quad 1 games right in front of us. And WSU has now went and won all 3 of those fucking games.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. Like Kyle Smith is incredible. Miles Rice is beyond incredible. Isaac Jones is beyond incredible. That motherfucker. It's so funny. I mentioned to his brother Israel. Like I was like, he grew like 6 inches in college, and he's like, yeah, that was annoying. Like, could you imagine your brother just being like you, just like kind of a normal dude, and then becoming like 6'9" in the middle of college? Like,
that's so funny.
Like, oh yeah, he was pretty good at basketball, and then he was 6'9", and then now he's like a potential NBA player.
Well, like, I'm trying to think, like, I'm kind of clicking back on these teams. I'm trying to think of, okay, who was the last guy we had who was like a real deal bucket getter? Like, if you needed a bucket, you could count him to get a bucket. So I'm thinking back and I'm clicking back and I'm like, okay, Robert Franks, I guess. Like, on that one, we didn't really know for sure.
It was hard to tell, yeah, because there wasn't a lot of games
we had so few actual games where it mattered. And maybe Malachi, I guess you could say at that time. Although I would say I wouldn't really put him in that category. I think
he did against UW. He did against UW. He did. As many of the Seattle area kids do.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to go all the way back to Devontae Lacey to find a guy who's like a true, like, you need a bucket. That guy's going to go get a bucket type guy. And some of that is not just talent. Some of it's mentality too. Right. And I think Malachi had that mentality. I just think, he was still pretty young, when he left us. To find a team that's got this many guys who can go get a bucket, you got to go all the way back to the Tony Bennett years, right? Where you could say, okay, Derek Lowe could go get a bucket, or Taylor Rochester could go get a bucket, or Aaron Baines could go get a bucket, or Kyle Weaver could go get a bucket. Like, this is like that. I mean, I'm not saying this team is as good as those yet, because I'm not sure that it is, but particularly defensively, I think that's kind of the big difference is this team's not quite as good defensively. Obviously, you're talking about one of probably the best defense, also, in school history versus
also not as good offensively as that 2007-18.
Yes, which was ridiculous. Yeah. But, similar kind of makeup where you actually have multiple guys who can beat you in some different ways. And I think that's what is sort of like crazy about this is, Kyle Smith rebuilt the roster and, and I tweeted out tonight, Villanova lost again tonight. And I was like, it's going to be insane if we make the tournament and TJ Bamba and DJ Rodman do not. It's like they both left for places where it was just sort of, kind of seemed like a foregone conclusion that's what they were doing.
You and I have discussed this before, like preseason on Bart Torvik, USC was ranked 9th.
Yes. Yep. Huge recruiting class, historical success, and at least in terms of making it to the tournament. Like,
and we mentioned it before, like, let's be honest, like DJ hasn't been as good as he was here last year, and TJ hasn't been as good as he was last year at Villanova.
Yep.
And TJ is coming on, but I mean, they both got money, but
yeah, I mean, it's I don't wish any of them ill. Like somebody on Twitter was like, "I call that justice," and I'm like,
Nah, there was like, family shit
like
in both situations.
Think,
in both situations, there was a lot of family things going on, and
I mean,
what 22-year-old doesn't, value, like let their parents influence their decisions and shit,
For sure. Yep. And so I don't wish any of them ill will. I'm just more like, it's kind of crazy. Like it's, and I think it says, I think when you say something like what I said, which was not meant to be a shot at the two of them, but I guess was maybe taken that way by some people. It was more just to say like, this is insane. Like,
TJ was not good against Xavier tonight though.
Yeah. But I'm like,
he's been playing well. That bums me out though.
This is nuts. Like what Kyle Smith has done, the team he put together and what he has done with them. is nuts. Like, and that's more what I was trying to say. It wasn't like throwing shade at those guys. It was just like, this is crazy.
But also, maybe you're a better player if you're playing for Kyle Smith.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. Right? Like, I mean, I do recall, like, well, first of all, I mean, we could talk about Andy Enfield. Neither of us think he's a great coach. Like, that's not been, we've not been secret about that. So, DJ moved to a team with definitely, I think we both would like,
but of course, with the caveat that I love Dunk City so much, I own a FGCU sweatshirt or a t-shirt.
Yeah. But his time at USC has been like fine. Like he can definitely get
it's pretty
there.
On par with how USC basketball is generally been.
Yeah.
Like he's not,
so he's able to get talent. They've been fine. They make the tournament, like fine. Right. And then Villanova, like I remember us having conversations on Slack about, it's not like Jay Wright's coaching there anymore. Right. Like that's not,
and
may not
have
be
you seen
the same kind of
schedule,
Villanova.
The schedule that they faced in this like stretch where they fell?
No, I haven't looked at that.
Okay. In since January 15th, number 10 Marquette away, loss. Home, Connecticut, loss by 1. St. John's, 39. This is all Ken Palm rankings, sorry. 39 away, lost by 20. 49, Butler away, lost in double overtime. Marquette again at home, lost to them, number 10. They beat 54 Providence at home, and then they lost away at Xavier, number 37. That is a rough stretch. That's a rough stretch. TJ has never seen a stretch like that in his college basketball career.
No, he is not. But for
the
them,
Big
they've
East
got
is pretty fucking good.
Yeah, but they've got some, they've got some teams coming up that they should be able to beat. So
yeah,
and I hope they do, not at our expense, like because now they're in the same, they're on the bubble like we are. So I hope we both.
But if we just keep winning, we just get off the bubble, please.
That's right. We'll just win all the rest of the games, and then it doesn't matter, right? But like to speak to that really quick, like that was something that I kind of fleshed out a little bit, looking at Bart Torvik and kind of thinking about what would need to happen and stuff like that. And I mean, we laugh and say, yeah, winning out, let's take it all out of the equation. And obviously that would do it. But I think it seems pretty clear that if we just win 7 of the last 9 regular season games, that we're probably in. Now, maybe that's not good enough. Maybe you're like, well, I want a 5 seed. Okay, fine, win out. But it's like, if you're just talking, what will it take to be safe to get in? The work they've done at this point, I think if they win 7 of the last 9 heading into the Pac-12 tournament, you're in great shape. That's going to make you a 2nd or 3rd place team in the conference, which means you're going to get a bye. It's kind of, I know that the committee will say things like, we don't look at standings, but I mean,
yes, they do.
They do. I mean, it's known that this is the, 2nd place or 3rd place team from the Pac-12, right? And then you will have had, you'll have.
Also, your net. We'll jump
wins,
into we would jump into like 30-ish in net.
Yeah,
at that point,
and you're already toting, 4 quad 1 wins, which could change. Like it could. Like Washington could drop out from quad 1.
There's a lot of fringe.
Tenuous, Colorado.
But it could be
Colorado's a little tenuous.
It could be 5. It could be 5.
It could be. So and that's with
because Utah,
if you beat Oregon, they could, and if you beat Oregon, that's definitely a quad 1.
Yeah,
right.
That's up there with the Utah, the Arizona one that won't change.
Yeah, and so you've already got that done. Even if you don't pick up another quad 1 win. You win 7 more games. I think you're golden. I really do. Like, I don't know I don't know where you land as a seed because that's, whatever. I don't look at that closely.
I don't think you're on the bubble.
But
I don't think they're.
I don't think you're on the bubble. Like, I think you're. I think you're pretty safely 14, like a 10 seed 20, or a 9 seed or something like that.
They'll be what? 23-7, 14-6, not counting whatever they do in the conference tournament. Yep. They'll get a bye in the Pac-12 tournament. They'll get a lower seed that they'll play, whatever. A
team they should beat.
they're solidly in. They're not going to be a last four in. They're not going to be.
Yep.
They're probably not going to be on that 11-12 line. Like.
Yep.
If they do that, and like like you're alluding to, they're favored in 7 in the last 9. Like pretty significantly favored.
Like significantly favored.
Last 9.
Now the betting markets may not favor them quite as highly against UCLA because we've been talking about UCLA and what they're doing right now.
UCLA is the most terrifying. That's the most terrifying.
If people are not paying attention, UCLA is now tied for 3rd or 4th in the they're 7-5 in the Pac-12.
UCLA is
after
good
beating Stanford tonight.
UCLA has figured their shit out.
Yeah, too late to help us out, to help anybody out. Assholes.
Yeah, like if we lose to them, it
looks terrible.
There's like this like not crazy scenario that they like just win the regular season conference outright.
Yeah,
because they play Arizona still. Like
it's not
if they ran the table, insane. Would it be that crazy if they ran the table? Like I don't know, man. Like they're fucking good right now. They have 5
home games and 3 away games. The rest of the way, their away games are Cal, Washington, WSU. Now, they do have a lot of tough home games, but they're at home.
Wouldn't you rather
they play
have
Colorado, Utah, and Arizona all at home. So, yeah, UCLA is insane.
UCLA could really fuck up everyone.
Yes.
And not make the tournament.
Yes, they could. I think that
it's really their defense.
Best case scenario is probably UCLA winning the Pac-12 tournament. If it's not us, that would probably be good because then, like, whatever happens with them, the rest of the way will look a lot better.
We would. WSU and Oregon State would collect the money on all of that.
Yes, we would.
That's why, just everyone be rooting for the maximum amount of Pac-12 teams in the tournament this year, including WSU. Yep. And then them all winning as many times as they can.
Yes.
Because that money is all going to WSU.
All ours. UCLA started the year ranked 26th, dipped all the way to 118. And that was after their 4-game losing streak to Oregon, Stanford, Cal, and Utah early in Pac-12 play. And now they are back up to 97. No, check that. 91. They're back up to 91 now.
After beating Stanford on the road by 8.
In 3 weeks, they've climbed from 118 to 91 by winning 6 out of 7 games.
But there is just one team that has been playing better than them in the last month in the Pac-12.
Yeah, who would that be, Craig?
That would be your Washington State Cougars, my friend.
Washington State Cougars. That's right.
But of course, I will be forever terrified of that UCLA game at home because also it's the last time WSU or UCLA is ever going to play in Pullman. I would love for that to be a W for Wazoo. I would 100% be there if my fucking toddler's birthday wasn't that day. Well, it's the day before.
God damn it!
Party is that day.
Well, maybe we need to have a birthday.
Maybe we need to
have a birthday party in Pullman.
Children. Just never have children. That's the lesson here.
I mean, that is true.
You can't be a proper fan if you have children.
If you want to just
those of you
you want to do, shouldn't have children.
Those of you who have kids in youth sports know it's incredibly difficult to be a Wazoo fan and have children. But we love our children. They're beautiful and wonderful. And WSU is just, it's just sports, man. It's just sports. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, so big weekend, as every weekend is big now for the rest of eternity for Wazoo right now. But very big weekend. As you said, Jet, you mentioned it earlier, but let's rehash. What is WSU's current Bart Torvik odds for the tournament?
I haven't looked because they update real time, but it was like 72 or 73% earlier tonight. I'm looking now, but yeah, like 72, 73%, something like that.
I always get messed up because I'm used to KenPom where it highlights WSU because you've selected them as your
Yes,
team.
because you've decided.
And then I scroll on
team.
past WSU. Teamcast, yeah. Okay, and so
it's a race.
So the Oregon State game. So yeah, we're currently 74.5%. Beautiful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Oregon State game. You win that one. Bart says, waiting for the Hyatt Wi-Fi. You just only nudges you up 2%. However, if you lose that one,
yes, not great.
To our friends that talk about the Cal game, minus 10%, 10.9, 11% almost. So it's more about just grinding out that W than anything. And Oregon State obviously has shown that they can do some. I don't know, man. They had that weekend where they beat Arizona and then pummeled Arizona State. But then they went down to UCLA and USC and just got their asses kicked. So we have a friend that said that was their Clay Day weekend. Where they just played out of their minds. And I'm kind of inclined to believe that because there's nothing else around those two games that would lead you to believe that they have like turned a corner. Because they lost 5 games in a row before that. And the 2 before Arizona State were big ass blowouts. But they were at Utah and Colorado, to be fair, but they were massive blowouts. And then on the level of, my almost 3-year-old when she's eating too much fruit. And then they go and they beat Arizona on that incredible last second shot. That was so cool. And then they beat Arizona State, who might actually really suck.
Remember when they were 4-0? Remember when they were 4-0 in the conference?
Yeah. Well, that
was a while ago.
But they lost at UCLA. They got their ass beat by USC, who has just been shitty forever before that. So, yeah, like WSU's favored. But you know what? Winning on the road sucks. And someone pointed out that like WSU has lost like something like 11 and 12 at Eugene and like 6 of 7 at Oregon State, which I could not believe. But then I looked it up and it was true.
Yeah. Yeah. Oregon State's really tough at home, man. We're not overselling this.
Oregon State has a legit hooper. Like they're good. Like
I mean they were 3, they started the year 3-0 at home. Linfield, obviously not a Division I team. But Troy 129 in KenPom. Appalachian State 88 in KenPom. Got both of those. Now, granted, both in overtime.
In OT.
They didn't play crazy. Then they, lost 3 neutral site games against tough opponents. And then they came back home and won 5 in a row, again against, 200, low 100 type teams, but, won them all. Lost a relatively close one to UCLA, beat USC. Lost to Stanford in OT at home, and then beat Arizona and Arizona State. So, they're good at home. And I don't know why that is, but they're good at home. And I would say that even the conference in general has been, crazy good at home. Among all the conferences so there are 33 conferences. KenPom says that the Pac-12 is 3rd in home win percentage this year. So home teams are pretty much dominating, and we've seen it with us. So
it's funny. Podcast versus everyone guest JB Vidic asked Kyle why is this happening, and Kyle's like, I don't know. It's obviously there's no answer for it.
Yeah,
but
who knows?
But it is wild. It's wild.
Yeah,
but Oregon State. We talk about the luck metric. They're 23rd in luck. They have a 10% higher win percentage than would be expected based on their KenPom ranking. And we talked about bucket getters. They have Jordan Pope. That fucker gets buckets. Like, he gets buckets,
yes, he
and that's a guy that could bury you in a late game situation. So if you're fucking around, he's the type of guy that'll make you find out.
Yep,
and,
for sure.
Yeah, so
incredible shooter.
Arizona fan. Yep.
Think like Jalen Wells,
at every
except
level,
in a guard type body and also high volume usage. So, and he can pass. That's the other thing.
Not as high as I expected when I looked at it.
Well, his possession percentage, I think, is kind of brought down. So possession percentage does not factor in assists. He doesn't have a lot of free throws. Well, not a ton, but a decent amount. I think what it is he doesn't turn the ball over hardly at all for a guy who handles it as much as he does. And then assists don't factor into usage, but his shot percentage is 28%. So he's definitely getting his shots off. That's how he's been. So he's really
56% on twos and 43% on threes in Pac-12 play.
Yep. And then 86% on free throws. He's really fucking good. I don't know what he's doing at Oregon State, if I'm being honest. He's probably there for another month.
Yeah. No, he's getting a bag soon.
And
then Oregon, I don't even know, man. Like, the Dana Altman experience, dude. Like, I don't know, man.
Some of the shine's worn off that, hasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. It's not like automatic, like, oh shit, we're late season. Oregon's amazing. No, they haven't really done that.
Man, they haven't made the tournament since 2021. Since that like crazy 2021 tournament where everybody in the Pac-12 went nuts.
Lots of money that WSU and Oregon State will be down collecting.
Ken Palm rankings since then. 82, 42, and then 55 this year.
He has had Kyle Smith levels of injury luck. I'll say that.
That is true.
We're getting in Fale Dante, who didn't play most of the season, but has played the last 7 games.
He played against us the first time, too.
Yeah. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. Never mind. My bad. Just kidding.
He came back the next game.
That's right.
But they haven't, I mean, to be fair, since he's come back, they beat Cal at home. They lost to Utah and Colorado away, which everyone does. And then they beat Arizona State at home, lost to Arizona at home, beat USC away, which every Coug does, and then lost to USC away or UCLA away. So they haven't been, with him back, it's not like they've been amazing.
Yeah.
They have a lot of good players. They have a lot of good players. Their offense is a lot better than their defense. They also have like 3, 4, 5 guys that could murder you on a night, and that's what's challenging. Like we can't just say, "Oh, let's stop in Fale Dante," or "Let's stop Cousinard or Shellstad," and then we'll be good. It's just they have a lot of guys that can make shots. Yeah, as we saw in Pullman.
The one thing I love about this game, though, is like I don't know if you've ever. Okay, so I used to listen to sports radio a lot back before podcasts and everything, and they'd have. I don't know if you ever listen to those segments they do with the guys who, the touts, right? Who talk about, gambling and, which games they like and which teams they think will, beat the spread or whatever. And one of the factors that they would talk about sometimes would be the revenge factor. And they would go into some long diatribe about, this team has the revenge factor, blah, 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 after, like basically a second matchup during a season. I do think there's something to that. And I do think that WSU is going to be a little ticked off about what happened in Pullman. Like they didn't play great. They sort of grinded, but Oregon kind of held them at arm's length. And I think that they
made some ridiculous shots at the end.
Yes, and Oregon made some insane shots to kind of put it away. Our guys have responded in those kinds of situations, right? I mean, I think you saw it against Utah and Colorado, and obviously it's a little easier to do at home. But I do think there's going to be, I think the intensity is going to be up a notch for our guys. I do think it remains to be seen as to whether, Oregon has had the right buttons pushed, here by Dana Altman. I mean, this is a team that was looking like a shoo-in for the tournament, and then they go and lose 4 out of 6. And granted, 3 of those are to Colorado, Utah, and Arizona, but those are 3 teams that WSU beat. And I know Colorado, Utah away, but it's like, and then they lose to UCLA away. And I know UCLA is playing better, but it's also like, man, if you're a tournament team, like those are like, you got to win at least a couple of those, in some way. And they didn't.
Yep.
So, and the Arizona game, especially, I think they lost by 9, but that game wasn't really, if I recall, I don't think that game was super competitive.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. It was
I think that,
high.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, if you think about when Oregon beat WSU, they moved to 4-0 in conference, and WSU dropped to 1-3. They are currently tied at 7-4.
Yep.
That's been the trend of the two teams. When Oregon beat WSU, they moved to, interestingly enough, it's funny. They moved to just 49 in KenPom. And now they're sitting at 55. WSU, when they lost to Oregon, dropped to 73, and WSU is now sitting at 43.
Yep.
Which just gives you an indication of how each team has been playing since the last time they've been played. The last time they played.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what, 7 games?
Yep.
It's a pretty big deal in conference play. I don't know. Like it's a tough weekend because it's on the road.
Yep.
And
you really got to get one. You're gonna feel good if you get one.
If you get one, you're where you at when you started the weekend.
Yeah.
If you get one, and if you get 2, you're probably at this point just like win the home games and you're in the tournament for sure.
Yeah.
Or even you don't even need to win all of it. If you lose both, you're back in the place where you need to get some wins. Like you probably need to win the rest of your home games.
For sure. I think that is. I think that's a definite.
At the very
right.
Or
you pick up. You beat Arizona on the road.
Or beat Arizona.
That's asking a lot. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
7-2.
Yeah.
That's it. 7-2. Get to somehow, some way, get to 7-2. The rest of the way.
6-3 will probably be good too.
Probably. That's probably good enough. 7-2 is definitely good enough. So
7-2, we're not going to worry about what happens in the conference tournament at all.
Nope.
6-3,
and that would be nice.
We might be like, we got to win that first game just to make sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. In my opinion, I would love to see them win every single game the rest of the way. That would be my favorite thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should do that.
Yeah.
I think we should do that.
If they go out and sweep this weekend, that would be so fucking sick. Like, it's like, I mean, I was screaming after the UW game, like, we're a tournament team. We're a fucking tournament team. But yeah, if they go out and sweep this weekend, they get at Oregon State, at Oregon. No doubt, tournament team. No doubt.
Yep.
And I honestly believe that they can. They're definitely better than Oregon State, and I think they're definitely better than Oregon right now. Like, they can beat both of these teams.
Yep.
It's just that winning on the road is hard. It's weird, and we never get a whistle ever. We don't even get them at home, to be honest. But yeah, it's going to be a big weekend, and I'm excited, man. Like, we just haven't had this feeling in so long.
Yep.
Like it's so
It's
fun.
fun,
It's
man.
so fun. It's so fun looking at bracketology. It's so fun looking at the Bart Torvik projections. It just every day obsessing over it. Like, so just what I say to everyone is like, enjoy the moment.
Yes.
Just enjoy it. Like and if it doesn't work out, whatever. But just enjoy the fact that you're giving a shit about.
Yep.
At Oregon State in February.
Yep.
Like, enjoy the fact that like that feels like a massively important game. You know, like it just, you know, you remember when they barely beat at Oregon with Mac Hobson in 2006, 2007. And it honestly felt like the end of the world that they didn't beat them by enough, but it was really like, just fucking beat them. It's a road game.
Yes.
Just beat them.
Just get a win.
Like, and that's what it is. Like, just get a win and maybe get 2 this weekend. It'd be fucking amazing. And then you get Cal and Stanford at home. I just don't think this team's going to lose to Cal again.
No, I don't think so. Nor do I think they're going to lose to Stanford.
Yeah.
I don't.
So, you know, if you can get both this weekend, you might be looking at a very long win streak. I
hope that Kyle Smith is talking to them about winning the Pac-12 regular season title.
Yeah,
like that's
you're right there.
That's what I hope they're targeting.
You're right.
It is.
There.
You are right there. You just keep winning.
How many times has WSU did that? None. Not a single one time.
I think. I think the answer is 0. Tony Bennett's teams might have done it if not playing in the most ridiculous Pac-12.
If they were playing in this Pac-12, still it would have been hard to beat Arizona. But
sure,
but
Arizona
team is
highly. Are we thinking this Arizona team is better than those UCLA or Stanford teams back then? Like, I don't think so.
Definitely not better than the UCLA teams.
No.
Also, they're weirdly like as good as they are. Don't win as many games as they should. I don't know.
Correct. Yeah, their Ken Pom ranking is one of those where you might go,
yeah,
like a 17-5 team. I know that, you know, it's not based off of that, but I don't know. I guess everybody down around them also has about 5 losses, but they don't play as tough a conference as Auburn or Tennessee or Alabama. So
when they have like a 2 seed in the brackets, it's going to be hard not to pick them in the 7
as an early upset.
In the second round.
Yeah.
It's just you've seen too much.
Yep. I know these things.
Yeah.
Should we talk beer? Bottle
let's
Logic.
Talk beer. We got fun beer. All right. So
we got super fun beers.
So Jeff, I'll start out with, you know, my experience, and that's why we're drinking Bottle Logic. So I'm in Oceanside, and which is 30 miles north of San Diego for a conference, and they have there's a Bottle Craft location here, which is like a small chain of beer shops in San Diego. One of my favorite spots. I love the one in North Park, and there's one in Little Italy as well in San Diego. But this one is the newest one. I think it's a couple of years old or something. And so I went down there. I walked down there and then Uber back. But I walked down there and I was texting one of my beer nerd friends who've been my beer nerd for a long time because it was so funny. There's all these beers that, like, I was like, how many beers in here that are just sitting on the shelf that used to be like, if we were at a beer share, if someone brought out, would be like fucking legendary, and like you couldn't buy at a store ever. They were like only sold at the brewery, rarely, like rare releases, and I spotted like fucking 12 of these fucking beers, and one of them was Bottle Logic Fundamental Observation. And so this came, I think the first year this came out was probably 2017, 2016, and vanilla stouts were like fucking crazy, like popular at that point. But like a lot of breweries would make vanilla stouts and they wouldn't taste very much vanilla in them. And also like vanilla fades really fast. Like if you got the beer was a little old, like you wouldn't taste it very much. But then Bottle Logic came out with this Fundamental Observation, just crazy amount of vanilla. And
Oh, dear.
I only would like the original batch that would only taste like an ounce of it at a beer share or something. It was so impossible to get, even though like. So, vanilla stouts, as I said, fuck. Okay,
That's okay. Just keep going. Like start again when you're ready to start. I'll edit it out.
They came out with this beer, and it was, it because vanilla stouts were so popular, it just popped, and it was such a heavy vanilla, strong vanilla flavor, like pastry stouts were becoming a thing, and Bottle Logic was kind of like one of the ones leading that, and this vanilla stout was like fucking, it tastes like brownie batter. It's so good, and vanilla stout's my fade and stuff, but this one just held strong, and it was so good. And you go to a beer share, and it would be so crazy to get, but now I can just like buy it at the store off a shelf. I think them as the I kind of joke. I joke to the bartender at the beer bar that they're kind of the Fremont of Southern California, and then they make these amazing barrel-aged stouts, but they make so many of them, they're like easier to get. And I know, Jeff, you've experienced that because you yourself are having a Bottle Logic barrel-aged beer that you bought like in a fucking gas station, if I remember right.
Yeah, no, this one. Okay, so I am not sure when I got this one. This one's a 2021, and so I'm trying to think like where I bought.
Which one?
Like I'm not even.
Which one?
It's a Red Eye November. It's a Red Eye November, which is the It's one of their Imperial coffee stouts. Yeah, coffee rye stouts. So Imperial stout brewed with rye and molasses, aged in bourbon barrels, then finished with coffee beans, which was, right up my alley because I love coffee so damn much. And this is a 13%
just like
pint of beer.
Fundamental observation.
Yes, 500 milliliter, basically a pint of beer.
Yeah, Jeff and I are drinking
and honestly,
13% beer.
Yeah,
right
now. Like I said, I cannot remember exactly
I wish
where
we
I bought
together,
this one.
actually, that would be great.
I know, me too. It is possible that maybe I bought it when I was in Anaheim last time. Not this last around Christmas time.
Didn't Rainier get a drop?
So that might have been it. That would make more sense. Like it would make sense if I got it at Rainier Growlers because I don't remember.
I think that's where you got.
Bringing one.
You
back
and I
from
shared.
Anaheim.
You got and we might have recorded a pod at your house. I can't remember.
Was that your house? It was at your house. Yeah, because I remember I bought them at the liquor store
You got Dark Star.
We got a Dark Star November. Yeah, we got a Dark Star November.
Coffee. It's an oatmeal stout without coffee.
Yes.
Whereas Red Eye November is a rye stout with coffee.
And I've been to the Bottle Logic Brewery and Tap Room in Anaheim.
Me too.
Which is glorious. It's fantastic.
It's a fun place. Like if you're taking your fam to Disney, you go to Bottle Logic.
Take a break. And drive over to Bottle Logic. Yeah. It's about halfway between Disneyland and Anaheim Stadium.
Yep.
Just kind of out in a industrial park with warehouses and stuff.
Not a crazy expensive Uber, to be honest. Like it's if you're
cheap.
in that Disney area with your hotels, like the Uber is not bad at all.
Yeah, you might spend $10 on an Uber maybe.
And at this point at Bottle Logic, if you go there, they're gonna have crazy shit on tap all the time.
Yes, they are. They have crazy shit on tap.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So this Red Eye November is fantastic. It got my attention because of the coffee. As I said, I love coffee. Absolutely love coffee.
Coffee stouts are so good.
Yep. So, and as soon as I popped it open, it's been aging in my, in my fridge that doesn't work right now, but, which is mostly just housing all my aging bottles at the moment. It's been aging for a couple of years.
But basement temps are perfect. Those are so
Yeah. Yeah. It worked out perfect. It was funny because I was like, you were like, let's do a Bottle Logic episode. And I was like, haha, mine's not chilled at all. And you were like, it's, chilling's optional for a barrel-aged stout. And then I took it out and I stuck my little food thermometer in it real fast. And it was like at 60. And I was like, that's actually pretty close to perfect. Yeah. So I was like, hell yeah. So let's do it. And it's an incredible beer. Just absolutely delicious. There's a little bit more sweetness, than what, I like my ideal, which I know is part of the deal, but
yeah. Well, and I'm sure the coffee may have faded a little bit, and so
yes,
it's not.
Yeah, it's not. The coffee is not.
Now,
not as strong.
The fundamental observation is very sweet. It's just vanilla.
Oh yeah,
it's vanilla on top of probably it even sweeter stout base than Red Eye November has. It's exactly what I remember. Honestly, I'm so it makes me so happy. Like, good
awesome.
on them. Like making that beer at a larger scale and still making it very good.
Yeah.
Like I'm impressed. This is fun. Like I remember Bottle Logic used to be like whales. We called it like crazy beers. And then I remember like you going to just stopping at a random gas station at Anaheim. Like it was probably like 2017 or something, 2018.
Yes.
And you're like, oh my God, I see Bottle Logic beers. I'm like, dude, buy them. And then you're like, holy shit.
No. What it was, I had no idea what I was. I had no idea what I was looking at. I sent you a picture and I'm like, hey, should I get any of these? Do you want any of these? And you're like, yeah, the Bottle Logics. Get me one of those, and you should get one of those. And I'm like, okay. And then I took them up to the cash register, and they rung it up, and it was like, I don't know, $68 or something. And I was like,
for like 2 beers.
For 2 beers. And I was like, shit. And this was, I mean, you were definitely used to buying expensive beers at that point. I was like, just sort of like entering into my phase of being willing to pay, like $30 for a bottle of beer. And I was like, all right, well then I saved it for a special occasion. And like you said, we cracked it open when I mean, we could probably go back and find the episode when we did that. I don't know what it was, but I remember I brought it to your house and it was like, I
had one of them I had another one at your house. I think I had both of them. You shared both of them.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I remember like we opened it up and it was it was a very like super weird beer. It was kind of a
Jam the Radar
type. I don't think so.
Was it the berry one? Was it the berry one?
No, it was like we kept saying it was like it tasted like mead. It was like honey. It had a.
That's why I think like it might have been Jam the. Oh no, it was a honey. Yes, it was the Bottle Logic that's like a kind of a mead. Blend.
Yes.
What is that one called?
Yep.
Now I gotta.
I don't remember either. Know. We'll have to go look, but anyway.
Because it was a. If I just Bottle Logic mead beer, it's gotta. Come up, right?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I just remember thinking this is like super weird, but very tasty and super fun. And I know that like Bottle Logic's deal is, just sort of being experimental.
It was Iridium
like
Flare.
That's kind of that's it.
It was
that was it.
It was Iridium Flare.
Yep.
It was technically a braggot, which is a blend of a mead and a beer.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah. So that was the one, and Bottle Logic kind of you had explained to me kind of known for experimenting and doing some strange things, and that was one of them. And I was like, yeah, that was an experience. So yeah.
So beer, woo. Yeah. Jeff and I just drinking some 13% stouts.
I'm trying to drink it slow enough that I can make it to the end of this show.
Yeah, same. I have a lot left, honestly, because it was a 16.9 ounce bottle to begin with.
Well, and you'd already had some before that. I had not. So
allegedly. Yes. But yeah. I don't know. Women's basketball.
Yeah.
Is depressing the shit out of me.
Yeah.
It's just it's hard to be like, if only we had Charlisse.
Well, you can't even be like that because she's not coming back, right? Like it's not like you can be like, well, this is just a blip, but it's
but it's like
it's hard.
Okay, these 2 games against Utah and Colorado pretty much played out exactly like when WSU didn't have Charlisse last year when her grandma died.
Right.
It looks exactly the same. I feel like the team is deeper and there's, especially scoring wise, better. But I feel like they're definitely missing Charlisse on defense. They've been playing. I'll say though, they played their asses off. But at a point, you get tired, and you usually have that playmaker that finishes the game for you, and they haven't had that.
Or a bucket getter.
Yeah, and it was really a bummer against Colorado. I 100% think they would have beaten Colorado with Charlisse, and probably pretty easily.
Yeah.
Utah is just every time they just make every three. Like I don't know.
Which is
maybe
obnoxious.
It would just been like a devastatingly close loss with Charlisse. But yeah, it's going to be hard the rest of the year to just be like, well, if we had our best player, we might have won this game. Yeah, it sucks. I don't know. Like I don't know. Like they've done so much in terms of a tournament resume, but their schedule is so tough the rest of the way.
Yes.
So it's just like if they're just stacking.
Well, and we also know that the committee takes injuries into account in both directions, right?
Yes.
So, if they absolutely tank over these last, couple of weeks before the Pac-12 tournament, like, yeah, you don't want to leave that up to the committee to be like, well, you were a really good team with this person, but it's clear that you're not without her. So
get Florida stated.
Right. It's exactly right. So to me, the biggest thing, obviously, Charlisse, incredible scorer, really good defender. Honestly, I think the biggest thing, and I say this with the caveat that I watched, I don't know, the last 5 minutes of Colorado this weekend, and that is all that I watched. So, take this for what it's worth at that point. But they just looked like a team that was kind of rudderless. And, Charlisse is the one who makes everything go. And she doesn't need to be scoring, 25 or 30 points a game anymore, for the team to, for her to exert her will or influence on a game. The ball's in her hands more than it's in anybody else's hands. And she's the tone setter. She's the talisman. She's all of those things. And without her there, the team is just, they are flailing a little bit. And I think that's the biggest thing they got to get figured out, I think.
Here's the thing is like, you can come into a game and coaches can have a great game plan, which I think Cammie did against Colorado and Utah. But none of that shit matters when you get into like the fourth quarter. Like
it's true.
Everyone's figured out what's going on.
Yeah.
And there's a point when you just have to have players like make plays. And when you've lost your best playmaker, and you're only 2 games from losing, you have just lost your best playmaker. The person who would normally have the ball, like we've seen over and over again, if it's a close game or if WSU is behind late, Charlisse just takes over. She's like, "This is my game now." Like I'm doing everything now. But what do you do when they were in? They were down 3 in the fourth quarter against Utah. They were leading Colorado in the fourth quarter and lost that. But what do you do down the stretch when everyone's figured everyone out and it's just like best player wins and you don't have the best player on the floor anymore, or the players who are on your team are used to Charlisse just taking it over and figuring it out.
Yep.
Or you're used to the other team just paying incredible amounts of attention to her in the late game situations, and then she's just such a good passer. She just finds open people. Like, so that's where they're at now. And what they have left is, Cal at home. This is a big game. This is a big one to win. Stanford at home. I mean, I would love if they could win one game against Stanford, like ever. They're
they got one more shot. This is it, probably.
And then you're at the Arizonas. Arizona's good. Like I know they beat them. They beat them good in Pullman, but Arizona's good at home. They always get a good crowd. Arizona State. That's a team you should beat still, but against on the road. But then you end the season, Oregon State and Oregon at home. Oregon should beat. Oregon State's very good and probably even better than they're currently ranked. And then you go to the mountain schools who are both top 15, top 20, whatever teams to end the season. So you're like, okay, you can beat Cal and ASU and Oregon.
Arizona.
And hope you get Arizona, and like hopefully that's enough, because they have a lot of good wins on their resume. But again, it's like you said, it'll be up to the committee. Like, okay, well they're not as good without Charlisse, so they're not actually a tournament team.
That's the hard part. Like I don't think I think unless...
I think they're pretty good with even like I'll give like Cammy and the staff and the players a lot of credit. Like there's a lot of talent on this team without Charlisse.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
and that's where I'm talking about the gravity. I talked about gravity last week, right? Like the gravity, the talisman aspect, the captain type aspect. I think those things matter. And the question is there enough time to figure that shit out?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Right?
Is like you've built the entire program around her with the ball in her
for
hands
4 years.
For 4 years, and now suddenly you have to figure out someone else. And I'll give Tara credit; she has really like stepped up her possession, her usage, and her aggression, but
she's not that kind of player.
Yeah,
right. Like her skill set is not one where she can just exert her will on the game from anywhere on the floor.
She's more aggressive in looking for her own shot. She's not She's not
right.
Playmaking for others too at the same time, which is what.
And she's probably the best shot creator left. Well,
LA
Villa, maybe one of those two, probably. But still, it's like. Yeah. I honestly, I think Villa's got to be the one to take the reins. I don't know. So, we were sort of heralding the comeback of AT. Right. Like this. Okay. It's a great thing. This is good for the team. This is, an infusion of talent. And I think that's true.
Made this weekend a lot better than it would have been if she was not there, for sure.
Yes. But I also wonder if there's a little bit of like trying to figure out who's running the show. Right. Like, is it AT running the show? Is it Villa running the show? Is it, who's the one sort of leading the way? And my hope is that sort of best case scenario, this weekend wasn't good. Obviously losing 2 games sucks, but we know Cammy's a tremendous coach. And my hope is that this weekend gets used more as like data, I guess, where, Cammy looks at it and goes, okay, now we kind of know what we got. Now we kind of know where we can go. And now we can chart a path forward about how we're gonna try and make this thing go, for the last month of the year. That's my hope, is that's kind of where this lands, is that they were able to kind of take in those 2 games and go, yeah, it sucks, but we learned a lot about ourselves without Charlisse and how we can, potentially move forward.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I don't want to belabor this, but it's tough to end the season.
It sucks, man.
It sucks. Honestly, it's frankly like really fucking depressing for me, because I've loved watching Charlisse play, and it just sucks that knowing that she is not there, and just going into the season, I'm like, okay, like this is the year finally going to win at least an NCAA tournament game, get advance, possibly Sweet 16, possibly host. And there was a point, like I have those hotels booked for that weekend in Pullman, but I might have to cancel those now. For potential hosting, I think after we beat Maryland, I think I booked them, and they were man, the way they were playing against UCLA with Charlisse, they were there, like they were on that track, like to potentially be like a top 16 seed and host. But now it's just like survive and get there for the 4th straight year, because y'all deserve it. They all deserve that again. And it's just like, hopefully they can do what they do. And yeah, I believe in Cammie as a coach, and I believe a lot of these players, like they have so many good players like Bella and Tara and LA and Estera, and like there's and even Jenna and Alex, and there's just so many good players on this team, and I think there's enough talent to beat teams on the schedule, and I hope that they just kind of get past that hump of like, we don't need Charlisse anymore, like we are doing this without Charlisse now, and they figure it out, and they at the very least get to the NCAA tournament again.
Yep.
That would be a great. They've obviously they're set up very well. They're like 24 in net, I think, and they have a lot of really big wins, like, so they're set up very well. But like, just to get it across the finish line, much like they did against UCLA, would be a huge thing.
Yep, I agree.
But I wanted to bring it up. Another thing Cammie said briefly, before we finish this up, is that it would be really great if the student section was there for them, and I'll say it for the men's team as well, which is where you would normally expect the student section to be. But obviously the women's team has done plenty to earn a proper student section, and we've seen that happen at other schools, and it just hasn't happened for them despite going to the tournament 3 years in a row. And I don't know, like I know I'm fully aware that the culture has changed, and we went through this pandemic, and people are used to doing things at home, and going out and doing stuff isn't the thing anymore, and there was a lot of bad men's basketball for a long time that kind of made going to the games wasn't as cool, and having like a culture. And I know Zoo Crew isn't quite like the student club that it was when I was in school. Like literally there was like we voted on president and secretary and all that shit, and everyone, you had to like pay money for a t-shirt, and then you like all that stuff. But now I guess it's just everything is, so everyone had a t-shirt, they paid for it, everyone had a t-shirt. But now it's just like every student section is now just called WSU or Zoo Crew, I guess. It's not like the basketball student section or whatever.
Yep.
So I know things have changed. I know. But here's the thing. I've been to men's games this year. I've been to women's games this year. People show up to the games and they sit down, like students sit down and they watch the game. And they don't really make much noise. And that's it. Like they're sitting for the whole game. The band excluded, and like the 15 people in the front excluded, or whatever. But it's just wild to me. Because the women have been on it incredibly historic. And I don't know what they could have possibly done last year that would not have brought people in, whatever. Like, they won the goddamn Pac-12 championship. But the men are in a currently, potentially historic season. And they've already had some incredible games in Pullman. They've only lost one. So if you would have went to all those games, you would only see WSU lose once.
Yep.
Including when playing a top 10 Arizona team. And we're coming to the stretch where both of these teams are on the brink of making the NCAA tournament, which has never fucking happened. Both the women's and men's team have never made the tournament in the same year because the women's team has only went 4 times and the men's team has only went 6 times, and those things have never crossed over. So I'm
as you would expect that they would not cross over, right?
4 times in history has ever the women's team went to the tournament, and 6 times in history has the men's team ever went to the tournament.
Yep.
And we are sitting here in the middle of February, and both teams have a legitimate and honestly expected chance to make the tournament.
It's crazy.
So if you're in Pullman and you're a student,
get the fuck to Beasley.
Yeah, you're probably not like me, and you like went to Wazoo to like watch big time sports or whatever.
Me too, right? Like, you and me both.
But I promise you, college basketball is so much fucking fun. And getting into the games and standing the whole game and chanting and cheering is so much fucking fun. And it's only 2 hours to 4 hours a week. Like, it's not like you're.
And it's a 5-minute walk from anywhere on campus.
It's not like a football game. Like, it's not a football game. Like, you're not going to be there. You're not outside. You're not getting fucking in the weather. You do have to deal with the weather getting there, whatever. But there's a plentiful student section at WSU that if you have a sports pass, you can just go. And if you don't have a sports pass, fucking text me. I might not be at the game. I have season tickets. I live in Tacoma. I don't go to every game. I think I'm going to the Stanford game. But all the other games, text me. I'll fucking send you 2 tickets.
Yeah.
And honestly, if those 2 tickets are gone, if you fucking message me on Twitter, I will buy you a ticket if you don't have a sports pass. I fucking promise. But go to the fucking games. And also, a sports pass is like $99. Oh my God, what a deal.
I know.
Like, just go to the games. Like, and cheer and be loud. And because it matters. Like, it fucking matters.
It does matter.
It sways refs. Like, when you're loud, when the fucking arena is loud and crazy in favor of one team, there is a million examples of how it sways refs. And in a close game, if you're swaying the refs, it might make the fucking difference. So just go to the games, enjoy it. Like, this is great. Like, this is wild. Like it's been so fucking long since we had a men's basketball team that was in the running for a tournament at this point. It's been since Clay was here, which was 2011. It's 2024. Any student that was at those games in 2011 is in their fucking 30s now. Like just go to the games and don't just sit there. Like, put your phone away for a second and cheer and have fun. You can still look at your phone. That's fine. Whatever. But there's a lot of breaks in basketball. It's fine. Yell when they're on defense. Chant when they're on offense. It's fun, I promise. And it's really fun when they're winning, and they're doing a lot of that right now. Both teams deserve your presence. Go, students, please. And you know, of the students that listen to this, who are obviously, if you listen to this, you probably are already there. Just fucking get people to go. I don't know. Just do it. I don't know.
If everyone brings 2 friends, they'll pack it out, right?
Yeah. Y'all went out for Clay Day. I saw it. I fucking saw it. Just pretend it's Clay Day. All right? Pretend Klay Thompson is down there. Miles Rice is down there. Miles Rice could be an NBA player. You're going to feel dumb later when you didn't go watch Miles Rice play. You're going to feel really dumb. So go watch him play now. Isaac Jones might be an NBA player. You're going to feel dumb when you didn't watch him. So go watch him now and cheer him. And let's get to the fucking tournament, both these teams. Like, sorry, let me jump off my soapbox for a second.
Well, I think that the thing that I would say is like, one of the things you have to do to know what's fun is like, leave your house or your apartment or whatever. Like, you are a person who made, lifelong memories in the student section at WSU basketball games, right? And I know that you would have killed to have both teams be awesome. Instead, one team was awesome and the other team was, horrendous. But it's like, this is not a, hey, these teams deserve better. You should go out there and support them because they deserve it. And I think that's where sometimes I think students resent it a little bit. They're like, well, fuck, I have a life, whatever. Like, these are just basketball players. I go to class with these kids. Like, it doesn't matter. It's fun for you. Like, that's what I would say to them. Like, I'm like, man, go out, enjoy some shit, go, get off and I say this as someone who plays, online video games all the time. Get off the fucking game console, get off the phone, and go do something, man. You're on a campus with all kinds of shit. Go watch a game and go enjoy a game and go be with other humans and have some fun together.
You're all like-minded. You're all wanting the same thing. If you're in the arena, you're all wanting the same thing. And that's a fun place when you're just like in this like space, this like harmless space where you could just be like, let's all be like-minded for one goal. Because like that was like what made all the Coug fans at UW so fun. Is because there was so many of us. And we were just like we felt like we were willing the goddamn team to victory. Maybe you're not doing shit, but you feel like it. You feel like you're part of it. And it's so fun. Like, it's so fun. Especially when the team is good, it's so fun. Like, you just, I like, there's just some moments when I was in school, like the games that they won and lost, like that like I'll just never forget. And I've had those moments too as an adult, but like, there's nothing like being a student when a WSU team is good. Like, you're actually like legitimately part of it. You can say we like 100% without reservation. Like, it's you are the same as the players. Like, you're paying. You're both going to class. Sorry, burp. But you're going to classes with them. You're doing all that shit. There's nothing like it. So I don't know. Like, just go to the games, make it fun, make it loud. The players loved that there was so many loud Cougs at UW. And that was obviously old fucking assholes like me. But you can do that in Pullman as well. And it's so much fun. Like, it's so much fun just to, if you go to football games, and there's obviously, if the amount of you that go to football games went to basketball games, it'd be easily full. It's the same vibe. And honestly, without the worry of weather. And truthfully, I think basketball is way more fun spectator sport to watch. Like, no offense, football, but just so go check it out. Like, it's super fun. It's fun. It's so fun. And make up some chants. I don't know. Like, just make them up. Like, just make it up. Maybe you'll be in the ground floor. You can make up some chants. It would be a legend. You'll get like pictures taken of you that Coug fan will use for 10 years. Every time WC basketball ends.
You never know.
You never know. Or maybe a Coug center. You might get a Coug center. But whatever. I don't know. Just go to the goddamn games. Like, all right. We're done with that. And with that, we should probably wrap up the podcast. But so make sure you're going to podcastversuseveryone.com and subscribing. Jeff has been writing a lot of posts, and I think he has several planned this week, don't you, Jeff?
Yeah. I will plan on writing something after the game. So people listen to this will listen to it on Thursday. So plan on writing something after the game tonight against Oregon State. Might have something else, before the game on Saturday. I'm thinking about. I got a couple things in mind. We talked about the offense tonight, but maybe writing about the offense a little bit. So, Yeah, subscribe.
Yeah, do that. But Jeff, big fucking basketball weekend coming up for both teams. And, with that, I say go fucking Cougs.
Go fucking Cougs, Craig. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
And get vaccinated.
Get vaccinated.
Support a union.
Support a union.
Yeah. In some way.
Join one.
Anyway.
Just high five.